Who is the Riddler? Our story begins in Gotham City. Edward Nigma lived with his parents and grew up as a very inquisitive child. He would tenaciously ask his parents questions, although they usually ignored him. At a young age, Edward sought to be someone who knew all of the answers. By the time he was in 6th grade, Edward had become known as a cipher. He was constantly ignored by other children on the playground, and his parents despised him. He was isolated, hungry for attention, and he waited for his chance to prove himself. One day at school, the students were given a new test in the form of a puzzle contest. Now, with his chance to be noticed, Edward knew exactly how he would win. The night before the contest, he snuck into the school and began to practice solving the puzzle. The next day, Edward easily won the contest and finally got the attention he craved. However, Edward's fame proved to be fleeting, and realized that to keep the attention he so craved, he had to turn to his true talent of cheating. Edward soon became obsessed with puzzles and trickery and would spend most of his time studying these techniques. He was now very skilled at sleight-of-hand tricks and constantly practiced on students. Some of the students became annoyed by Edward's trickery and would abuse him after school. After graduating, Edward got a job as a delivery man. Edward found his new job extremely tedious and boring. One day, as Edward was delivering packages, he noticed a safe full of money, and he became inspired. Soon he began to use his skills of cheating to steal from his clients. He would break into safes as well as commit armed robbery, but even this could not satisfy him. Sometime later, the Gotham Police Department received a mysterious package. As the police began to inspect the box, they are stopped by a ticking sound. They suddenly run for cover as the box violently explodes. Inside the box was hundreds of handwritten riddles and puzzles, and on the back was signed the Riddler. The police spent hours investigating these riddles and eventually realized they all hid a message. The message told the police to meet at the nearby lighthouse at a specific time. As the police force cautiously approached the meeting spot, the lighthouse suddenly explodes. The Riddler approaches the police to claim his crime, but is stopped by a figure in the shadows. Batman grabs Riddler and begins to violently beat him down. Then Riddler quickly lights some of the leftover explosives and is able to flee the scene of the crime. The Riddler was now faced with the real threat, so he planned to gather other criminals to assist him. He had trouble getting the right crew as most local criminals were uneasy about working with him. Edward decided to continue his robberies in hopes to buy him a crew. One night, Edward robbed an underground dominatrix club. Just as he was escaping, he is stopped by two women at gunpoint. They were known as Query and Echo, and they were also robbing the club. They soon struck a deal with the Riddler to join him in his crimes. Now with the help of Query and Echo, the Riddler began to take on more serious crimes. He was even able to get away with a crime that left him with $2 million. Batman was always close on his trail, but would always narrowly fail to capture him, giving the Riddler a more impressive reputation than ever. The Riddler had become overconfident and began even more elaborate crimes, although his luck would soon come to an end as he was stopped by Batman.
Well, riddle me this. Was Green proud and ass kicked all over?
How exceedingly droll. I won't be needing a lawyer, you jumped-up security guard. I will represent myself.
After his trial, he was found clinically insane and was sent to Arkham Asylum. Edward was haunted by his failure and began to suffer from a number of psychotic breakdowns. As with many of Gotham's criminals, Riddler was soon back on the streets. The Riddler continues his elaborate crimes and always attempts to top his last crime. His riddles had now escalated to much higher stakes, usually involving a hostage held within death traps. Since his time in Arkham, he is mostly known to work alone, as most criminals despise working with him. Over the years, the Riddler has become one of Batman's most illustrious villains and always proves difficult to defeat. As his crimes become more complex and elaborate each time, he is responsible for some of Gotham's most violent. The Riddler was once even responsible for nearly turning Gotham into a wasteland. While the Riddler does not have any special abilities, he is known for his creativity and is known to possess many skills such as very advanced mechanical and software engineering skills. His intellect and need for perfection makes him incredibly dangerous.